So far, to my knowledge, there has never been a case of lethal hiccups. However, recently a friend of mine reached out to me and he said, "Hey Jesse, is there a breathing technique that I can use to get rid of these hiccups?" And it made me think. I have not actually experienced hiccups and I don't know how long. What is a hiccup? A hiccup is caused when you have a spasm in your diaphragm. So the same mechanism that you use for breathing, it gets a spasm, and that's why you can't, you get that uncontrollable urge to inhale, right? You do that. And that's my best impression of a hiccup. But you get that inhale uncontrollable, and it happens, and it's no fun, and it's, at least it's generally not very painful unless you get it for a long period of time. But a hiccup can be kind of, that's kind of annoying. And basically what it is, you've got a spasm in your diaphragm. Your diaphragm is your breathing muscle. That's a very powerful muscle. And when it gets a spasm, it's just like any other muscle in your body. It will fire without you consciously deciding to fire that muscle. And so this is why when you get a spasm in your diaphragm, or when you get the hiccups, some of the remedies that are out there actually work pretty well. The premise is, we need to reset the diaphragm. That's essentially what we need to do when we get a case of the hiccups. We need to make it so that that spasm ceases to happen. And so one of the ways you can do it, if you get scared, the premise would be that you have a very strong contraction of the diaphragm, right? A very strong contraction of the diaphragm that would possibly reset your diaphragm and free you from the hiccups. Now, many people have told me, and of course you may have had this happen before as well, that whenever this happens, hey, yeah, thanks a lot, somebody gave me a heart attack, but it didn't really help my hiccups. Now, the other one, the one that's the most popular and the one that I generally recommend, is to hold your breath with a full lung apnea. So a deep breath in, and a breath hold, and a breath hold. Essentially what you're doing is you're flattening your diaphragm. You're really completely getting a complete flex out of that muscle, and you're holding it there. And you're hoping to reset the diaphragm in that way. Now, as many people find out, this is not always a successful method. It oftentimes is, and it tends to be the most successful one. There's a lot of other ones out there though that are just kind of silly and ridiculous. I mean, I've heard of you're supposed to drink out of the cup like the wrong way, or there's other things. There's a lot of old wives' tales about how you cure the hiccups or what's going on with the hiccups. But ultimately, the holding of the breath, at least holding your diaphragm in place, is generally your best bet to curing that bout of the hiccups. Now, remembering that a spasm is an involuntary flexing of that muscle, we're trying to relax it. So as you inhale, you're gonna hold that breath hold, and then you're going to relax it out. You're not gonna push it out. We want to relax the diaphragm when we're trying to overcome the hiccups. So you pull that in, take a nice deep breath as much as you possibly can, hold your breath for as long as you can, and then before you are just about to die, right? Before you're just about to, right? Don't do that, right? We want to, and then just relax it out nice and slow. We're trying to find relaxation because we're trying to keep ourselves from having that contraction. So hey, that is the hiccups. Now, how is it that I have not had the hiccups in years? Now, it could just be some kind of crazy luck, but the reality is that when a person practices breath work, okay, so when we're talking about breath work, we're talking about conscious breath work as a lifestyle. When a person practices conscious breath work as a lifestyle, I'm in constant contact with my diaphragm, okay? And so when a person does that, we see that the diaphragm stays secure, and you're less likely to have all of these, these weird issues, like, for instance, hiccups, but also maybe you're familiar with side stitches. Whenever you start running, well, that's your diaphragm whenever it gets pinched, and it just got out of place for just a little bit. It gets pinched, and you feel a side stitch, okay? So the more you practice conscious breathing, the more control you have over your breathing mechanism, the better overall chances you have of avoiding those diaphragmatic issues. and living I guess, a less hiccuped life. So to my friend out there who got a hold of me, fortunately, I have since heard from him and he has overcome at least that bout of the hiccups. But to all of you out there, I would highly recommend practicing conscious breathing throughout the day. If you'd like to learn more about how to practice breath work, more than just 1 or 2 techniques, how to really use all the right muscles when you breathe and create a perfect breathwork practice for you, take a look at my links below, my book, my courses, things of that nature, and I can really take you a lot further, a lot faster than what it took me to get here. Guys, I hope this has been helpful. Please like and subscribe, and don't forget to go out there and be kind to one another.